Today we're discussing the popular 2023 Korean fantasy web series, Death's Game. This series consists of a total of 8 episodes and was written and directed by Ha Byung-hoon. The story opens with its protagonist Choi E-jae, an unemployed college graduate with a mountain of student loans. After 7 years of fruitless job hunts, he finally calls it quits when he loses all his savings in a scam and sees his longtime girlfriend with another man. Scared of living more than dying, he jumps off a building. Then we are introduced to the next crucial character of the story, Death. Death plucks E-jae from his way to hell and throws him into a game of sorts as punishment for insulting her. She will make him experience 12 more deaths, but there's a catch. If he happens to survive, then he gets to live again. However, Death won't make these trials easy for him, and the first body he occupies dies almost immediately in a fiery explosion. Between every round, E-jae returns to a dark limbo where Death waits for him by the gates of hell, and try as he might to plead for mercy, his fate is sealed. With every new body, E-jae picks up tricks about this game, and from his second one, he learns that not only does he obtain the original host's memories, but their talents as well. However, his second chance slips while failing to land properly in a parachute-less skydiving attempt with a hilariously dark ending. The third body E-jae enters is of a bullied high school student whose original death was suicide. At first, this round seems straightforward, but nothing about this game is simple. Though E-jae successfully ousts the bully from his position by prodding a few teenage boys' egos, his plan turns the bully into the bullied, and the outcast teenager kills E-jae in a fit of rage. At this point, E-jae questions if survival is even possible, but Death owes him nothing, let alone hope. Rather, his suffering will only increase from here, and E-jae finds himself mid-torture in his fourth body. As a fixer for a secret organization, the fourth body stole his boss's money as well as his lady, and his skills are unparalleled. After an intense chase through the city that ends with a rooftop jump into a swimming pool, E-jae manages to survive only to be betrayed at the end by the lady he saved. By now, E-jae starts to see this game as an interconnected piece rather than separate entities, so he stashed the fourth body's cash in a secret location to collect in the next round. Death, though, enjoys toying with her prey and foils his plans with the fifth body, an inmate. The fifth body is an aspiring but poor boxer who took a bad deal for some cash. Taking the fall for a hit and run, the fifth body was sent to prison when the victim died, and with only 4 days left until his release, he threatened the original perpetrator for more money. However, blackmailing shady people only leads to more trouble. Worlds collide in this fifth incarnation as E-jae bumps into the bully from the third body who was arrested after the murder and currently acts like a psychopath to scare the other cellmates. Seeing through his act, E-jae smacks some sense into the bully and scares him into thinking that the boy he killed is haunting him. As soon as E-jae is free, he retrieves the bag of cash and splits it in two, storing one in a subway station locker. On his way home, E-jae gets stabbed by the father of the hit-and-run victim, and though he survives the attack, his friend from prison comes moments later to finish him off. Rather than dwell on this latest death, E-jae focuses his attention on the cash he stored, which he needs to get within 4 days. The clock is ticking. If the fifth body was a prank by Death, then the sixth one is a cruel joke. E-jae finds himself stuck inside an infant with abusive parents, and though people see the warning signs, no one acts up to save him. Powerless, E-jae dies that very night when the social worker sent to investigate the case leaves without questioning the parents. Halfway through this game, the seventh body seems to be E-jae's best bet to redo his life. Not only does he reclaim the bag of cash with seconds to spare, he also gets a handsome face to boot. However, Death would never be so kind to our protagonist, and E-jae soon discovers what grim hurdles he will have to overcome this time. While working at a cafe, E-jae meets his ex-girlfriend Lee Ji-soo and learns that she recently debuted as a novelist. He realizes that she never cheated on him and the man he saw her with was her brother. After reading her book, he approaches Ji-soo as a fan. The two get closer as E-jae recounts his deaths as if characters in a story, but Ji-soo isn't ready to open up her heart again. Seeing her mourn his death, EJ realizes the impact his actions had on his loved ones, especially his single mother. Realizing that he could die at any moment, EJ wastes no time gifting his bag of cash to his mother, and in the evening, he reveals the truth to Jisoo. At first, he paints his confession like another one of his stories, but the more he describes his love, the more it sounds like Jisoo. He thought she would be all right since she was strong, but he knows now that he was wrong. EJ tells her that he still only loves her, and in that moment, Jisoo sees EJ standing in front of her. As EJ says his real name, a bright light engulfs them, and their tender reunion comes to a screeching halt. A car hits them both, killing Jisoo on impact. EJ recognizes the man behind the wheel is Park Tae-woo. With mounting horror, EJ realizes that this is the heir of Taekong Group, the older brother to Body 1, the sponsor for Body 2, the client of Body 4, the perpetrator from Body 5, and now, the murderer of Body 7. Returning to Death's door, EJ glares at his captor and then charges at her. Gliding across the table, he grabs her gun and points it at her head. He asks if she is enjoying all of this and gives her a taste of her own medicine. The screen turns black and a gunshot rings out. The second half of Death's Game opens with a gruesome scene as the show introduces our hero's next body, a serial killer. Being an artist who uses his victims' blood as paint, he has no qualms about kidnapping people from innocent civilians to low-life rapists and immortalizing their final moments on canvas, which fetch for a high price. After EJ's attempt to kill Death turned into a fool's errand, he finds himself inside the 8th body and decides to use this demon to kill a different one, Taekong Group's heir Park Tae-woo. Luckily for EJ, psychopaths seem to attract one another, and Tae-woo approaches his agent about purchasing a piece. Their encounter is tense thanks to EJ's thinly veiled animosity, but to Tae-woo, the man in front of him is a stranger and barely registers as a threat. Though EJ misses his chance to kill Tae-woo during their first meeting, he knows his address now and waits for him at his house that night. When Tae-woo sees the cryptic painter in his driveway, his already bad day turns worse, and he pulls out his shotgun without a second thought. He shoots EJ in the back, but as crazy as this all seems, EJ predicted this would happen and wore a bulletproof vest. His preparedness gives him the upper hand, and EJ captures Tae-woo. While EJ manages to take Tae-woo to his studio where he plans to saw him in half, he faints as soon as he arrives due to a brain tumor. This gives Tae-woo enough time to break his bindings and turn the tables on his captor. Once EJ wakes up, he finds himself staring up into Tae-woo's manic eyes. With that, he experiences his most painful death yet and ends up back in front of Death's door. Despite the horrific end he just met, EJ continues laughing in the face of death. As it turns out, he never intended to murder Tae-woo in his 8th body, but instead, he planted the seeds to catch him in the next. The show moves on to EJ's 9th body, a detective. Though the detective joined the force to follow in his father's footsteps, he made a promise to his mother to look out for himself first and foremost. His motto, as expected, turned him into a black sheep among his peers, but for EJ, this body is perfect for him to catch his target. EJ leads a team into the serial killer's studio where they find all the evidence they need to solve the serial murder case, but the last recording of Tae-woo he pockets for himself. He knows the police are corrupt, so he hands the footage to a news station instead. Like clockwork, the commissioner calls EJ into his office, and Tae-woo greets him with an offer to join his payroll. Shredding the contract, EJ tells Tae-woo that all he wants is him and gives Tae-woo 30 minutes to decide before he comes to arrest him. Making the first move, Tae-woo approaches the reporters and twists the story so he becomes the victim and purveyor of justice. The news stations only release the footage where EJ kidnapped Tae-woo, giving credence to his story, and the public hails him as a hero. Tae-woo becomes untouchable, but as he basks in his win, EJ strikes. Using all the skills he acquired from his previous bodies, EJ set everything up as trap for Tae-woo and got him stuck in a replica of his first body's death. However, unlike Tae-woo, EJ gives him a chance at survival, and with only 30 seconds left before the plane explodes, Tae-woo finds the hidden parachute and jumps right into EJ's speeding car. Though Taewoo survives the impact, it leaves him defenseless against his impending doom. As EJ strolls up to him, he mirrors Taewoo's actions from the night his seventh body died, and he asks how it feels to be on the receiving end. But killing is against the rules, and death appears to stop him. Returning to his senses, EJ leaves, but behind him, Taewoo lunges forward to stab him. As if by fate, a gust of wind blows him back, and a truck hits him. He wakes up days later in the hospital with both legs amputated, and everything he built crumbles around him as the world learns of his true nature. Paying one last visit to his enemy, EJ tells him to enjoy his living hell. With his revenge accomplished, EJ passes the days as the detective until death finds him again, but it takes a while for that to happen. As EJ gets comfortable in this new life, a chase with a criminal leaves him and his partner at gunpoint, so he sacrifices himself to save the other man. When he returns to death, she scoffs at his deluded sense of pride. EJ wakes up in his 10th body as a homeless man and watches the news about the detective's passing. For the first time, he attends one of his funerals. All his previous friends and colleagues see him as a smelly homeless man, and even the partner he died saving treats him with contempt. Realizing that living as someone else means nothing, EJ wishes to end this torture and falls to his death while running away from the body's crystal. Only 2 more bullets remain, and EJ decides that enough is enough. As soon as he enters his 11th body, he quits trying and gives into the host's suicidal thoughts. Though the 11th body achieved everything EJ once wanted, he lost it all and made the same decision as EJ back then. Rather than rewrite fate, EJ runs into traffic without a moment of hesitation. In a surprising twist, the 11th body turns out to be the same man who caused EJ's downfall as well as the man who ignited something within Taewoo. This turn of events comes as no surprise to Death, who claims that humans constantly kick away opportunities, and she wonders what EJ will do with his last chance. Having lost all motivation to fight back, EJ plans to end the 12th body soon, but when he looks in the mirror, he finds his own mother staring back at him. As her memories flood his conscious, he learns about the difficulties she faced while raising him as a single parent, but his biggest takeaway is her resilience. He realizes how foolish he was for not being happy despite everything his mother did for him and begs for forgiveness for all the pain he caused her. What seemed like a punishment at first becomes a way for EJ to fulfill his mother's wish, so he continues living. After spending 32 years in his mother's body remembering his loved ones, EJ returns to death's door one last time. He kneels before death and asks for another chance to live as himself. All he wants to do is hug his mother once, and death tells him that he won. Pulling out a bullet, she allows him one more opportunity, but leaves it up to luck on whether or not his wish is granted. Accepting the gun, EJ points it to his head and shoots. A shot rings out, and we return to the rooftop where EJ jumped. The final message of Death's game is quite predictable. Death wanted EJ to learn that he was loved, and his death wasn't a selfless decision that hurt no one. And only after experiencing the world through his mother's eyes was he finally able to step out of his own shoes and realize his mistake. As with its final message, the show wants its audience to know that every individual is irreplaceable, and what might seem like a dark tunnel right now may only be a small part of a larger opportunity called life. Moreover, the show commendably addresses societal issues like school bullying and child abuse within its narrative fabric, adding an admirable layer of depth to its storytelling. So, what are your thoughts on this story? Let me know in the comments section. That's it for today. Happy binge watching!